Hello everyone, this is Alex Mathers, writer of How to Get Illustration Clients and Promo 3.0, which is a marketing book. I'm also an illustrator and I coach people like you on how to expand your business and move from feeling stuck and anxious to feeling alive, making money, and generally kicking ass in life and business. So today I wanted to talk about a little known hack that I have found particularly useful for my own life. You might be cringing a little bit at the idea of a hack, which is basically a shortcut and effectively complete bullshit. But the hack I'm talking about today is a little bit different. So it's a different way of thinking about you in your own reality. And we might get a little bit matrix in parts here, so let's dive in for the ride. So before we go into that special way of thinking and a new philosophy on life that helps people be more successful, be more motivated, and has certainly helped me, let's talk a little bit about the current state of affairs in the modern world. It seems as if a lot of people are quite unhappy, a lot of depression going around, a lot of anxieties, a lot of frustrations and boredoms. There's a lot of sort of a general sense of malaise and negativity. Obviously, there are going to be many reasons behind why people are unhappy. The label of happiness itself is going to vary from person to person. But if I could sort of step into the fray here and put my own take on things, if I had to provide a solution to the general malaise and the unhappiness that we see in the modern world, I would say that it's because people are not growing enough. And if I was to give happiness a definition of my own, I would say that happiness is about the sensation we feel, the positive sensation we feel through growth, self-expansion. And we can only experience self-expansion when we do courageous things, when we confront things, when we taste our boundaries, when we taste the edge. And that's what brings me to this hack, this analogy, this different way of thinking about ourselves in our own individual realities that I think is going to help you in the same way that it helps me. So what am I talking about? So basically think of yourself as on your own little plateau. You're on a sort of a surface area which is basically a circle with an edge. So you could think of it as maybe something that rises up out of the ground or whatever, but you're basically on a kind of floating bowl with an edge to it. And it's a bowl with a very shallow sort of dip in the middle. And think of that dip as a kind of gravitational black hole force that pulls you away from your edges. So those things that pull you away from your edges are things like distractions, Netflix, fast food, well-meaning friends, family, lovers who pull you away from your own growth and tell you that you're okay just the way you are and you don't need to push too hard and you don't want to do things that are uncomfortable and hurt. And we see this in the media, and there are many things that are pulling us away from our own ability to grow. And we hear a lot about this idea of tripling down on your strengths, and I do agree with that as being a good idea in part. But the thing about that is, and obviously we want to focus on our talents and our skills, yes, but it can often come at the neglect of all the other important things that we need to be confronting and dealing with in our lives that are also going to push us up. We need to think big and expansively. We are not just we're not just operating in one segment of our full circle, our full plane. Don't forget that there are many points along the circle, along the edge that surround us entirely. And in order to grow and to get to the level that we see in other people who are sort of seemingly kicking ass and really succeeding and doing things seemingly easily and coming up with amazing ideas and successes, all these people have gotten to where they are because they have continually expanded their edges. And I would hazard to guess that it wasn't just in one area of their life. They were able to lift themselves up and expand in all areas, whether that be spiritually, physically, mentally, in work, in business, in family. All those things are important. So think big and understand that you are capable of excelling in all those areas of your life, in all the segments of your plateau, your little special bowl thing. And actually, because everything is interconnected and effectively our reality is our mind, improving and confronting something that we're challenged with in one area is going to lift you up in many others. So for example, if you are a writer and you tell yourself, okay, I'm good at writing, I want to expand, I want to just triple down on that strength, I want to ignore everything else in life including those things that are niggling away at me, and I just, I don't want to think about those scary things. Leave that. I'm going to focus on my writing. Over time, you're going to be eaten up inside by those things that you're neglecting in other areas. So it could be getting out and, speaking to people and improving your communication skills and all that kind of stuff. You do need to address those things. And this is something that I've come to learn in my own life. It's very easy to latch on to one of your own talents, thinking that is where you should be focusing all your effort. Yes, it is, but expand further than that and realize that you don't want to leave the other things hanging, because if you do, it's going to hold you down. It's going to anchor you down, which is going to affect your ability to expand in a holistic way. Does that make sense? So think of yourself on this sort of floating ball thing with an edge. Everybody has their own edges, so don't feel inadequate, inferior if you see someone who has wider edges than you. They've just put more into traversing their edges and tasting what it's like to be in a little bit of fear, a little bit of discomfort, because only when you traverse those edges do you start to actually see that the plateau can get bigger. And only when you succumb to the absorbing power of the gravitational force in the middle will you probably actually see your plateau contracting and getting smaller, and you'll start to, you'll miss things and you'll think small. So what I'm getting at is that we are multifaceted, so we need to be improving and moving towards the edges in all areas of our life, and to think big enough to be able to realize that is possible, and to see all areas of our lives as not just things that we've got to do. We've got to get up in the morning. Do we have to do these things? Embrace the fears as you would embrace the things that you love to do, the things that interest you. See everything as a craft. That was game changing for me. When I started seeing things that scared me, like communication, like getting on this bloody video, which I'm not a fan of getting in front of videos, but I saw the potential and the amount of growth that could come out of doing that. And now what's happened is that through doing these videos, albeit not, I'm not perfect yet, I'm getting there. Through doing these videos, I have sensed my own growth, because it took a bit of courage to get in front of these things and start, talking ad lib on various topics. I have seen my own growth, and because of that, I have felt happiness, and happiness is what has fueled my creative outputs in other areas, and I've realized that everything is interconnected. So don't neglect those other things that are niggling away at you. I know that they're there, so you can't hide. It's kind of a hack to even be aware that facing your fears is important, because facing your fears is going to lead to growth, which will lead to happiness, which will lead to positive chemicals running through that crazy brain of yours, which will then feed into all the other areas of your life. And you will accelerate, you will progress very, very quickly. Hope that made sense. So think about yourself on this sort of plane. Avoid the addictive gravitational pull that's happening in the middle. Be nice to those friends of yours who are saying, mate, you don't need to work too hard. You should go out tonight with us and have some booze with us in the pub. Be, well-meaning that they are. Make sure that you don't get pulled away from those edges. The edges are really the only places in your life where you will see growth, and growth is absolutely vital in all areas. Hope that helped. That's today's hack for success. Think about that whenever you sort of start a new day, and think about areas in your life that you might be neglecting. If I had to give you 2 calls to action today, the first one would be to write down all the things that are scaring you at the moment and might be niggling away at you, might be kind of getting under your skin a bit and are eating away at you a little bit. Things that you haven't confronted that you know that you need to face. Write them all down. Write down those things that scare you. You might find that actually dealing with those things and even becoming really good at those things is going to be absolutely game-changing for you. In the same way that developing my own voice, my own communication skills, getting in front of a camera has actually lifted me up in so many other areas of life as well. So write down a list of those fears and start thinking of ways of confronting them and moving towards them and actually overcoming some of them, even if it's in small, tiny baby steps. So do that. Pick one of those fears and start hammering away at how you can deal with that. And you'll find that you're a lot more capable than you think you are. You'll find that a lot of these fears are unfounded and unnecessarily overblown, and you will start to feel much more in control of your life. The second call to action would be simply to subscribe to Alex Mathers. That's me. Make sure you like this video if you liked it. Share it with your mates. I will see you in the next video.